Hey everyone, I'm Shaya, and this is
Matt.
We just sat down and recorded our very first podcast episode. Now, I want to be completely transparent with you, all that.
Because it was the first one, we don't exactly know what we're doing and still trying to figure it out.
We're experimenting with this idea of a podcast. So we ask everyone to listen openly, give us honest feedback in the comments. Let us know if you want more. You probably have some of our numbers, whoever's going to be hearing this. And please let us know really what you think. We're thinking about calling this the Listening In podcast, where you listen in, you know?
Having said that, I want to be very clear. I'm interested in community. We're interested in creating something. And we want you to be a part of this as much as that's possible. How can we do it? You know, how can we bring you guys in to be part of this conversation, part of maybe this community that we're creating?
In today's episode, what we spoke about, first of all, I had a really good time. I think there was some good energy.
We always have a good time.
Right?
That's not a question.
In today's episode, we spoke about Aliyah roles, transitioning. What was my process like? It was very different than Matt's process. What are we up to now? How's it going? The switches, the evolutions, the interruptions. Finding ourselves here in Israel, a little bit of a compare and contrast that definitely happened.
Yeah.
And again, please give us your honest feedback in the episodes if you want more. What do you think the name should be? You know, let us know the good, the bad, and the ugly. Without any further ado, let's get into the episode.
I'm Matt.
And this is Shaya.
And you're listening in.
Welcome to today's episode, live from Ramat Beit Shemesh, known as The Shack.
Beit Shemesh is not known as the Shack.
I know, but this office.
The office is known as the Shack. A lot of people walk around and say, oh, that's the Shack.
That's the Shaya's Shack.
Shaya's Shack. Very alliterative.
Right. And we are from the Judean Hills, living here.
This is considered the Judean Hills?
Beit Shemesh is the Judean Hills.
Okay. I guess I often think of Judea, Samaria, Yehuda v'Shomron. Like, that's like Judean Hills, which we're not officially in, right? We're on the other side.
Well, it actually depends on Route 38, whether it's biblical Don or not.
Okay.
And that has to do with Judea.
Fine.
But before we get into all this interesting stuff, what we're going to be talking about today is making Aliyah. I know it's a hot topic, Aliyah roles. And I'm here. We're going to get into transitions, switches, evolutions, finding ourselves in Israel. And me and you, we've had a different journey with this, I think. I think it'd be interesting to let everyone just peek behind the curtain and listen in.
Okay, listening in. All right, fine. I hear you. Where are we starting?
Well, I'm going to start with you. First of all, I'm here 4.5 years.
Right. I've been here for about 3.5 years now. I made Aliyah with my family, married. At the time, we had 4 and 1 on the way.
Four in the toaster.
4
and 1 in the toaster. 4 and 1 in the toaster.
I mean, so that was definitely a journey, just even, getting here. But right. I don't know how far back we want to start.
Well, we don't have to go back to the origins of birth. I don't think we have to do that. From the Kisei HaKavod, those guys that are like, where are you from? My soul is from Judea.
Okay, right,
4,000 years ago, exiled in the first past. We're not going to go back
not too far.
To the Evan Shasia and the Amas Kamaks.
Okay.
But let me ask you, we'll get into a little bit of your story, but really what I want to focus on is like, since you got here, and of course we have to rewind a little bit, but like, how's it going? What's that been like for you?
So since I've gotten, it's an adjustment. Like there's like a lot of adjusting when it comes to Israel, and I think you just have to know, or I don't know what I could tell myself. It's like a constant kind of like getting used to the reality that you're now dealing with. You definitely have the honeymoon like phase where it's like, oh my gosh, you wake up every morning, you're like, I live in Eretz Yisrael, and I want to be honest, I still have those moments. Right. Like I'll be driving and it's like, I'm looking at the forests of Eretz Yisrael.
I feel like they should add. I want to add another bracha in the davening. We say, Shalos Anisha. Then we say that Hashem brought me to Eretz
That's
Yisrael.
the one you pick. You pick Shalos Anisha. All the ones
Say it, the Hivdilanu min Atoyim. Hashem separated me from those that are erring and brought me to this beautiful land. But I think the interesting thing over here is, like, we're going to get into a little bit where you're coming from, and I think we have very different journeys in that way, because let's say I've been in the States, we met Aliyah with her 5 kids. My oldest was going into 8th grade at the time. Okay. Now she's looking at seminaries or midrashahs for next year.
Right.
Big decision.
And my oldest was like going into 3rd grade. So, we actually thought to hold them back. That's the whole thing. So kind of 8 kids and the ages were a little bit different.
Right. Now, I always felt, and I felt this coming, first of all, prior to coming here, I was obsessed with coming. Like, I feel like, they talk about, Rabbi Nachman says, like, every step I go to Israel, Derech Eretz Yisrael. So I felt like everything I'm doing is just to get to Israel, And there was a large part of me that was pretty much scared. I mean, obviously, you're putting yourself in the most vulnerable position that you could be in. Is it going to go well? Is it not going to go? There's some fears. Also, there's so much pressure. People are like, your kids are going to not be religious. I mean, some of my kids are still young. It's way to be determined. I understand that,
Shem Yazor.
But I always felt that, like, I'm going to be continuing what I'm doing,
There's no... You were somebody, and that essence of who you were is still who you are here.
Well, I would actually tweak that. I would say what I was doing on the outside remained the same, but my essence actually has shifted.
Okay, interesting.
Right. So the way I still earn a living, is still, I'm a therapist and professor, and so I'm still in private practice, and a lot of my practice actually stayed with me. But my outside has shifted, but my outside has stayed the same, in terms of my living and livelihood. But my essence, I believe, has, definitely shifted.
So that's interesting. I imagine everyone goes through some sort of shift, but when you said that, my response internally was very much, I have stayed the same, essentially, but just widened that essence within me more in coming to Israel. Whereas my external shell, who I play on television, has changed from then to now.
Right. So tell me a little bit about that.
So in America, I was very involved with Yeshiva University. I was a rabbi at a synagogue. I was teaching at YU. I had probably students at my home every Shabbos, community members. And
what was it called? The Shanks?
The Shank Shul. The Shank Shul, yes.
Shawshank Redemption. You made Shawshank jokes in the Shank Shul?
I didn't, but they were around there,
I bet you I know what your favorite thing on the Seder plate was. The Shank Bone! Okay, if we had an editor...
Whatever. Sound effect. All right, fine. Ouch. It was definitely. Look, I was such a communal figure, and it's funny. I often would say, I'm not a rabbi. I'm a community builder. That's very and whether it was teaching at YU and getting students to be kind of galvanizing about some sort of initiative, or it was, hey, let's make davening times happen on a daily basis at shul, and like all the sort of extracurricular, things that the community needs to feel alive and vibrant. That's who I was. And that was my role. When I made Aliyah, all of that switched. I mean, I didn't come here as a rabbi. You can never lose.
No, but you did.
I did. So, and that's kind of transitions I always believe should come in steps. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I got a role as a Rebbe at Ashreinu.
As
they would sing often. Right. And so I got to teach the Shonabek guys, so they were a little bit more advanced, which was also good because I was dealing with college age kids. So like to be able to deal with like kind of a little bit older guys was a nice type of transition. It was still within the same thing, but I lost the shul. I'll tell you like this, it was so refreshing. I never liked the shul shank the way it was set up. So there was like this big like podium bima where I sat. I finally was like, the president should sit up here too. I don't want to be the only guy up here. Like, and it's just like, and everyone's looking at you because, like, I can't pick my nose. It's
Right.
like,
Well, let me ask, what was that like for you? Because, like, people have a shul, you made it, I feel like that's the spitz. Like, whatever community you're part of YU, whatever it is, you're a rabbi in YU, you have a shul, how many people what people would give for a shul. And on the other hand, I hear you say, well, that was refreshing, or like, what was that like leaving that? Like, how did you how did you do that?
So Shaya, the first time I could daven and like nobody knew who I was and I could just walk into the back and put on my talis and daven, like, I'm telling you that it was so refreshing.
Right.
But I tell you, when you're used to a certain kind of habit and all of a sudden it's taken away from you, you miss it even out of comfort.
Right.
Just what you're used to. So even though there might be a certain like natia within inside myself and an inclination to just like, hey, I just want to be like a normal person. Nobody should know who I am. Just want to mix in with the crowd.
Right.
But when you haven't done that for so long, over 3 years of me, having a role and people knew who I was in the community. And when you walk down the street, people like expect you to say hi to them, And I brought that on myself, meaning that I was that type
created
of,
that role for
that,
yourself.
I felt that's what a rabbi should be. And that was my experience of what rabbis were growing up. I think I had really good rabbis that modeled, for me. And so to just not be that person anymore, like it was jarring. It would hit me every once in a while, and I don't know if it would, crisis is too strong of a word, but it's like, whoa, this role is gone.
Well,
I'm not, who knows? Maybe.
Well, on one hand, what I'm hearing you say is that on one hand, like, there's a certain freedom and anonymity. Like I think of Alcoholics Anonymous, like you want to be seen, but you also want to have the ability you want to be invited for a Shabbos meal with the ability to say no.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You want to be seen, but you also want to be anonymous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with all the pressure and tensions on you. So what I'm hearing from you is that there was a certain freedom that you experienced. On the other hand, there was a collapse of identity that occurred in terms of like, well, what do I do now? How do I do now? It's like that tension, like I could say for myself, like I definitely love the feeling of walking in the street and people not knowing who I am.
Right.
And just a certain sense of anonymity, like a dominant minion factor for better or for worse, both a blessing
you
and
there, or you say
okay, we can get into that. You want to do that? We could go down that route, right? Okay. What is davening?
Episode 2,
right? But I definitely enjoy like the anonymity of I feel like you're part of the Am. There's a certain feeling that I carry. Like it doesn't make a difference as much my personal thing. It's just part of being Am Yisrael,
Okay, interesting. I'll say it's funny. I don't know if we're segueing too much on this. You know that I recently moved to Mishkafayim, right? And I used to live down the block from you, but smell, so I had to go somewhere else.
Right. You daven every day for good neighbors.
And now I haven't. No, but where I daven now, it's a much smaller community, so it's like somebody doesn't show up, and it's like, hey, everything okay? I mean it genuinely, not like
right.
Why weren't you at Minion?
Right.
But flashback to high school.
Right.
But there's something nice about that. I think that's also I'm
that.
very into community. I'm
right.
very into hey, they're like supporting each other, feeling that kind of extra, so that I feel like those types of things when you're going through hard times in your life, when you have the
support.
It's support, but it's not support. It's like the strength of the community's regularity, the consistency. I feel like that can really help people through hard times. It's a consistent when things get shaky and rough and things are out of whack, to be able to I know this is I daven in this minyan and this way, not for everybody.
But I want to say that I think
you're pushing back.
I'm pushing back. Well, I'm just talking about myself. I'm not
Okay.
pushing back. Like I didn't grow up inside a community, Like we could do many episodes on how I was raised, But that being said, I didn't grow up inside a community, and I felt like I lived in Inwood for so many years in the 5 towns, and I felt like, man, it's like everyone, it felt like suffocating in many degrees. And I always had this dream, like, I'm going to move to a moshav, and I'll be, like, live on some moshav in
Right.
Israel. But then I realized, like, my wife, you know,
who doesn't have that? Like, it's so
Right.
beautiful. It's like, I don't know if it's Zionistic, maybe that's too strong of a word, but there's something so, like...
Right, it is.
Perfect.
It's not like my wife pointed out to me, she's like, you're just going to have Inwood 2.0. Where, like, everyone knows each other, and everyone's, like, on top, you know, and that thing, you know? And then I realized, like, hey, I like living in Beit Shemesh. It's like a small city.
I want to just be one of the numbers, one of the crowd.
But I like the fact that I could give people waves and highs, and there's certain people I know, and like you and other chevron. I have a shul that I really like. On the other hand, I like the fact that I'm just another person. I like having both. It's not just
run of the mill.
all things. Yeah, I think because I was raised that way in many ways. So there's like this. I don't feel that I need that as much. Do you know what I'm saying? And in fact, when I have it too much, it feels suffocating for me.
So just taking it back for one step, tell me a little bit more about your role here. Meaning you've had a little bit consistency with your role. So again, if I'm, you go through a turmoil, you go through a change, as it were, and you're trying to like handle it. Having a consistency helps, but you had consistency in your role.
Right.
Well,
the truth is, you're saying a good thing. You're saying good. Well, the truth is, I have to think about this because, like, there is something about the consistency of maintaining what it is that you're doing in Chutz La'aretz and doing it here, right? So, like, well, everyone's in turmoil, like the kids and the moving, and you're figuring out this and that and this and that. Like, there's something that's consistent. So it's like as much as working with clients is like healing for them, there's also healing for me. Because that like regularity of showing up in a certain way, doing what I do, definitely made the transition like...
So Shaya, just let's open up just a little bit.
Right.
Give me like a sense of like, hey, what are you doing? I mean, I don't want, like maybe daily, like you don't need to give me any schedule, but like you see clients, like what is your daily, like what are your jobs that are consistent? What is maintain? What do you have here?
Well, I'm a psychotherapist in private practice, working with a range of things, young adults, teenagers, parents, addiction, trauma, same-sex attraction, abuse, you name it. And then... On
a busy day, how many clients are you seeing?
7 to 10.
7 to 10, and each one is what, 45 minutes at least?
We book on the hour.
An hour time.
We book,
7 to 10.
We keep it going.
Keep it going full speed.
We keep it moving, right?
Okay, fine, but like.
And I also teach. The teaching's actually something I picked up here.
So you picked up. Oh, so you weren't
I wasn't
a teacher.
teaching in the States.
Okay.
No.
So what
it's just part of the evolution, you know.
Okay.
Whatever. How I got into it, whatever.
Okay, fine. It's another story. But you're telling me, Shaya, that like you had 7 hours a day, maybe a slow day is 5 hours, right?
Right.
Where it's just, hey, this is the same daily grind that I've been used to. I know it. I'm good at it. And you've had that consistently, Like, when did you start? How long have you been doing this for?
You're actually making me realize, like, I don't think I ever appreciated the bracha in that. Besides the fact for the parnasa, the financial aspects, but like just that type of consistency, anchoring myself to that when you move, it's just not consistent,
Right. I mean, look, Shai, you'll forgive me. The complete
You're
flip.
Forgiven.
Oh, thank you. Let's take a moment to acknowledge what just happened right now.
Editor, roll the dramatic music.
Ooh.
Okay.
Hey, that was really good.
You did. So tell me about you, because you didn't have the same process, right?
So I'll say like this: I'm not a rabbi today. Once a rabbi, always a rabbi. I try to tell my wife, but I'm not.
You're my rabbi.
Yeah. Please.
It says in Pirkei Avos, it says "Asei lecha rav." It means make yourself into a rabbi.
And you know who posits that way? I do.
Everyone does.
And I follow myself.
Everyone does.
Well, I'm just following.
So tell me, you're not a practicing rabbi anymore.
So I'm not a rabbanus. Maybe one day I'll get back there. I'm
rabbi turned podcaster.
Rabbi turned podcaster turned salesman turned entrepreneur. Yeah, like, look, I do sales. Now, it's funny. I would always say, like, I'm selling Torah. I'll even take a step back. The first job I had out of college, I was selling, medical equipment. So in a certain way, it's a personality thing. Can you be, outgoing? Can you be pleasant? Can you, what's the line they say? You need to be pleasantly persistent and agreeably aggressive.
Okay.
That's how you make a sale.
I have a flashback, I think, to the boiler room. Like, on every call, there's a sale. They're selling you on a reason not to, or you're selling them on a reason to.
Who is going to close? Right?
Right.
Yeah, some line. Yeah, right.
So you're in sales. What do you sell?
I mainly sell property in Yerushalayim.
Okay.
And
Real estate.
Real estate, right?
New projects.
Yeah, new projects, on paper projects specifically. If you're looking for a place, please reach out to Platinum.
Sponsored by. Today's episode is sponsored by Platinum Realty for all your high-end luxury.
You got that,
things.
AB? You'll give us a nice donation.
You have that
for the sponsorship. First off, it's a completely different paradigm than I've been used to at the level that I'm doing it at, and at the place in my life. I'll say like this: when I was in chinuch, it was very nice. I got a stable paycheck. I knew exactly how much money. When I would pray for parnasa, I literally didn't know what I was praying for. That my car shouldn't break down, so that I don't have an extra bill. That I shouldn't have to have a medical bill to take care of. That's what I thought. Now, when I pray for parnasa, I'm not kidding. Go by months where I don't bring whatever. I have other forms of it, but right. I don't have a stable income, and it's like, Hashem, please, can I close somebody this month? So that I can put food on my table. Right. I'm not trying to do anything, but mean to say, it's that whole approach, that whole kind of talk about inconsistency,
right?
Talk about transitioning, and then transitioning is not. I'll say like this: sales is not for everybody, and a good salesman is wow. They're
one could say.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, one could say Israel ruined your life, right? Well, how do you navigate that? How do you navigate that tension?
So look, you should know. Before I left, I asked a lot of different rebbeim. I had some rabbis tell me, "You're being marbitz Torah, you're teaching Torah. Who says you're allowed to go to Eretz Yisrael?"
I mean, aside the fact that I completely disagree with that.
There are shitot on the other side as well that said better to be like the janitor in Eretz Yisrael than to be a Rav, but...
How do you or did you internally navigate that inner tension, that inner conflict of going from a Rav in YU to being in real estate here in Israel, going from a Rav who has a consistent parnasa to being in real estate here, relying on Hashem. I mean, I'd rather I'd rather rely on a paycheck than rely on Hashem in certain ways. How did you?
Now I'm a real rabbi.
Right? How did you internally navigate that? What do you tell yourself?
Okay. I'll tell you what's coming up to me. I had the zchut of learning with Rav Aaron Kahn at Yeshiva University for a semester, and then I actually lived in his community, so I got to see how he lives in Inwood and has a big shul there, Base of Vigdor.
Inwood, Manhattan, by the way, not Inwood Five Towns.
No. The Five Towns. No, I'm sorry. Not Manhattan, but Brooklyn. Flatbush.
Okay. There you go.
I'm an out-of-towner that lived in town, so forgive me. I don't know all the... Where are you from? 26 and K,
You know why they say Avenue X is such a bad block to live on?
They say that?
Yeah, because you have to walk 15 blocks to pee. Roll the drum roll.
we can take that out? Very good. Okay, that would be we have to have our... And now for the joke.
Now for the joke of the day. So tell me, internally, I want to know, how did you...
So what did Rav Khan say? Rav Khan said, a boy, and this was the context, was that a boy doesn't just wake up one day and stops putting on tefillin. Right? There is a process that goes through a kid getting off the derech. That was the conversation.
Okay.
I'll say that the same process happened with me. Not going off the derech, that's another conversation. We can have that one. Episode 7, we can talk about my off the derech life. But it wasn't, things start not working for you, right? So here I am, I'm doing chinuch here in America, in Israel, and it's, it's not the same type of situation. The dynamics are a lot different. The pay is not what it once was. Making ends meet becoming a little bit tighter, and all of a sudden you're kind of like, hey, this isn't working. Meanwhile, this is everything's in the family. It's all about connections and networks. I have a brother-in-law who has a successful business, and every family barbecue, and thank God we have a lot of family here. That's a whole other thing we can speak about in terms of making Aliyah. Hey, you don't have the family,
that type of
I have a crazy amount of family here, so thank God, and I don't take that for granted. Every family barbecue that we have, I have a guy coming up to me telling me, hey, when are you done with this? There's always a job waiting for you, I love to have you, love to bring up. You say that to me enough times at enough family barbecues, and all of a sudden it's like, and it's not working out so well with other dynamics and whatnot, and I start to say, you know what? Yeah, let's give it a shot. So you know what? After about a year and a half, it kind of came very apparent to me that this is not going to work for me here.
In your teaching job?
In my teaching job. And the truth is, maybe I could have gone in a different direction. Meaning I could have doubled down on it a little bit, but for whatever reason, I didn't. And slowly this became more of a reality, and opportunities kind of popped up, and now it's all right, and now I've been doing it for over a year, and I've had hatzlacha, which I always look at as that's markers from Hashem. When you go down a path, and every once in a while things happen along that path that indicate you're still going along the right path.
Right. So you feel like things were in place to make the transition smoother for you, like kind of the refuah kodem hamaka type of thing.
Okay. I don't think that's incorrect to say.
Is that mischaracterization?
I don't like the refuah, like refuah hamaka.
Tell me why not?
Well, it's I'll say this. I think that in different times in your life, there's different things that are right for you. And maybe Rabbi Matt Levy doesn't exist right now because I have to be more for my family. And I have to be, I can't, whereas when my kids were younger and they didn't necessarily need as much attention the way it was, I had the bandwidth to be able to give 300 people the whatever they needed, as it were. And I could be that much with them on a Shabbos and on the weekdays. And now it's almost like when my whole family is going through their own kind of transitionings and whatnot, I have to be with them in another way. And to have a job, this is another thing that I'll tell you, I'm so not a 9-to-5 guy. I never realized how much of I'm not a sit in an office type of guy. I need to have, I'm not ADHD. Maybe I am. Everyone is, right? Everyone, can I be? You're my doctor. If I'm your rabbi, you're my doctor.
Don't worry. I'm ADDDDDDH. Right. So, let me. It's interesting for me because, you mentioned family being here, and I have a little bit of family here, but it's not the same level of support that I would imagine in the same way that you have. And I guess all that goes in. Do you feel it's funny in many ways. I feel there's a deeper discovery of self that comes on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We started with expanding the essence.
Yeah.
There's a deeper
sense
of self.
So what do you mean by that? I totally understand what you're saying, and I think my answer is different than yours.
Well, it is because I'm plagued by existential questions about how should I be spending my time? What's my place in this world? What's my role in my world? Am I, why am I riddled with insecurity?
Well, Shaya, come on, let's look at you and know why you're riddled with insecurity.
Right, it's those types of questions. I feel myself very much like a journeyer, and those types of questions really, at different times weigh on more than less, but I would say they're either in the front ground or the background.
They weigh on you.
I think about it a tremendous amount. What even as a therapist, what is therapy? What's my role here? What's my contribution? What am I really adding? What am I bringing to Eretz Yisrael? What am I bringing to my kids' lives? How do I show up in a way for myself that's meaningful? And with the collapse of identity, with the anonymity, there's more
when you say
space to come in for that, the regular structures. And even though the regular structures, the regular routine, that, it's amazing how much I could just say this about myself, like how much I've had held myself to what I think other people think about me, or what persona I want to give on. You
Is
know,
this
like
imposter syndrome? Is that what you're
I
like?
definitely have a degree. I have every diagnosis.
You have every degree.
I have every diagnosis under the sun. But there's like a certain feeling of like of rediscovery. You know, wanting to be more real, more authentic, more real with myself, more real with the people around us. You know, so it's like
Shaya,
you know, I could go days without leaving the block. Like I have my office here.
yeah, but
You know, the shul's across the street.
But now hold on.
We go to our chavrusa.
I hear you. I hear
And I
you.
come back, go to the mikveh, and we go to shopping, go to Yerushalayim, you know. There's a slower cadence that provides more, I believe it's a spiritual thing, it's not just a logistical thing, but mitzvah logistics. And there's a slower
One is
cadence,
mashpia on the other.
right? There's a slower cadence that allows a slower rhythm. Also, culturally, Eretz Yisrael is very different in terms of being driven to make money, to career focus. It's a lot less.
Quick timeout. In terms of the cultural speed, okay?
Right.
Israel versus America.
I love it. I love it here.
And what is it
I don't
here?
like the States.
Because
let's be clear.
Okay, you don't like the States.
I mean, I shouldn't say it so binary.
Trump, he doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean it. We
No.
all love...
I shouldn't say so binary. Obviously, I mean, last time was back maybe 2 years ago or something like that. You know,
2 years ago, weren't you? Did you just fly?
maybe it's just maybe it was a year and a half ago. I don't know, but obviously there's a certain comfort and familiarity there.
For
That
sure.
is like good. You know what I'm saying? On the other hand, I feel so much more at home here. You know, like I feel so much more myself here. You know, like like searching for the lost princess and finding yourself. Like I feel so like there are certain comforts.
Lost Princess, that's a whole other tangent. We got to get into Breslov and whatnot.
Right.
On that. But okay, go on.
Okay, you know, but there's like this.
Okay.
I feel much more at home here than I do. I did in 5 towns.
Shai, I'm just going to push you a little bit. Can you put your finger on that? It's very nice. It's very up in the air. I feel more at home here.
You know,
I don't like.
I'm
can you put your finger on that?
I can't.
Well, thanks. What are
I
we
could
gonna
just
do?
I could just talk around it. I can't. I'm with my people here.
But
I love the land.
so
I don't know.
why don't you move to Lakewood?
Lakewood sucks, bro. Why would I
What?
want to live in Lakewood?
No, so just move to a place where there's
You
more
know,
Jews than there were.
No, because it's
Is
not.
that
it's,
it?
No, it's the land. I love the land here. I just.
So is that what you're
love-
putting your finger on? The land?
I
I'm
don't-
sorry, I'm pushing
It's,
you.
I can't do it. I will not do it. I will not be pigeonholed.
Listen to your rabbi.
I will not be-
You will listen to your rabbi.
I will not be pigeonholed.
You will give me an answer.
I do not know. It's Am Yisrael. It's the people's spiritual things. It's the cadence of life. Food. You know, Israeli salad. I love Israeli salad. Cucumbers here.
I don't think you're allowed to get
Delicious.
Israeli salads in America.
It's just the
They made
cucumbers there
there's
are
no
not as
Donnie's,
good. They are not as good. It's farm fresh. You know?
I mean, it's funny. It's like you asked me the same question, and I don't know if I could put my finger on it either. But there's something about Eretz Yisrael. It's the reason we all clap when we land in Eretz Yisrael, and you just don't really do that.
No, they clap on the way to Uman when they land.
When they land in what, they do that?
In Malmö, you can't fly into Ukraine anymore.
Okay, that's right.
Chisinau. You land in Chisinau, and everyone's like, yeah,
Right, but that's, I don't know if they're Madeira, you know, it's
Right.
like the Madeira.
Right. I love the people, you know, I love the land, I love the Torah, you know.
The Torah, okay.
I love our soldiers, you know, I love our Kolo guys. I love, you know, like I like it all, you know, like that was a big Chemish weather, there's no snow, you know. It's great, you know.
Yeah, I guess you say there's no place like home, right?
Right.
So you know when you're home. I deal with. It's funny. I deal with a wide range of involved, Jewishly involved people. You know, here. Meaning to say, I have clients that are Orthodox Jews, you know, Haredi, and I have clients that are affiliated, you know, nominally.
Right.
And all of them, they're already a select group because they want to be buying. But why do they want to be buying? One of the women said it to me like this: "This is the place where I want to die.
Right.
I want to die in this land." You know, I don't know if that's putting your finger on it, but there's something about that.
Right.
And it's and for whatever the reason is, this is home, and there's no place like home, and you just know it.
Right.
You just know it.
I want to circle back to what we were saying before.
Please.
So like, in your journey. So it's interesting that we have just comparing notes over here. We definitely have different journeys with this.
Yeah. Okay.
My kids were older, your kids were younger. Parnassa, family support, coming from different places, different ages, different stages of
Give
life.
a nice recap.
Well,
for those who weren't listening,
right? I'm just wondering, like, would you say like Eretz Yisrael was one big interruption to your life? Because I could see why someone might say that, like this was a big life interruption.
What an awful thing to frame it as.
Well, why would you say that?
Well, look, anything's an interruption in your life, but where's your life? Meaning, at a certain point, I decided this is the future that I want. I looked around America, and I'll tell you, this is something I can point to. I saw the values that were being pushed within the environments around me. And they say something about the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He was a big proponent of saying, all the all the public schools need to have the, moment
of silence.
Is that moment of silence? It was for God, right? The declaration, we pledge allegiance to the flag. I'm misquoting what the Rebbe said, but there was an acknowledgement of God in the public schools, and the Rebbe was very happy to have that happen. Nowadays, that's completely gone. The values that even when I grew up in the 90s, like those values are not what's being pushed in the circles and around, and it's all that noise that happens that I didn't want my kids to grow up in that. And I'll tell you something here, and some people are scared of it, but my 8-year-old daughter took a bus by herself the other day, and,
right.
After dark, we're in the winter, so, it wasn't so late. But it's like the amount of freedom that children have, I think, gives them a lifestyle that is completely different. The values that are around, especially the environments that we're living in here in, Ramat Beit Shemesh, it's just, this is how a child should grow up.
Right. Right. Look, my daughter, how old is she now? I'm not sure. She's in 3rd grade.
Okay, so about 8 years old, maybe?
No, she's older than that. Maybe she's 9.
She's 9? No, because this is my daughter. Mine's 9.
Oh, she's
so
8?
See the 3rd grade 8 makes sense.
Right, okay, makes sense. She's not going to be watching this. She also takes the bus by herself.
Okay.
It's incredible. There's a certain level of maturity and independence, Like I see the difference between the kids that are raised here and that are fairly independent, and the Shana Aleph kids that come from New York. It's like the levels of maturity. But maybe you would say there's something nice to that. Like here, there's war, there's missiles, there's rockets, there's running to the bomb shelters. Like my daughter's like I'm telling you now. Like my oldest daughter, she's 18. I'm like things are happening with Iran. Hashem should let it collapse, the whole thing, and let it just burn to the ground, and let the Kukamani.
It should be whatever it should be. Latova,
right?
Latova.
Kukamani,
which it will.
Mamish, they should oust him, and he should have moved to Russia. But when she's like, great, she's like, does that mean there's going to be more missiles?
Right. But does that mean I have to?
Does that mean I have to run? She's like, I don't care what happens as long as they don't send more missiles here.
Right.
So it's like maybe it's nicer to grow up in like that more of a docile environment. You're talking about your daughter has rigorous independence at the age of 8 years old, 9 years old. But maybe it's healthier, maybe it's better.
I'll say like this: I think there's a constant question of what is the reality we want our children to engage with, and I definitely understand there should be that's too much. You don't tell the child all that. Give them an answer that's appropriate for who they are, right? But at the same time, it's like how much. So when reality happens, it's very difficult. Yeah, Hamas came in and slaughtered over 1,000 people, right?
Right.
How do you tell that to a 6-year-old? It's not the same way you're going to tell it to an 11-year-old. It's not the same way you tell it to an 18-year-old. And do you completely cover it? And it depends on the child. It depends on the personality.
Well,
but my point is, I think there's a certain level of reality because you're forced to engage with it. Emo, what's that going over there?
What's the yellow flag?
What's the yellow flag about? Right. Why are all these people standing going on that? It's a Levaya. Oh, why are all these people standing there? Well, he got out of captivity.
Right.
You have to...
Right.
Don't look at that. We're not going outside.
Well,
I don't think that's an approach.
Well,
and I'm always a very real, genuine person. So, part of me is like, yalla.
This is what it is.
This is what it is. This is what life is. And I honestly feel like, great. I'm being an example to my children, and each to their own level.
You're saying it prepares them more. But I want to say this, though. I forgot what I was going to say.
Maybe I'm throwing them into it, too. I can hear the pushback.
Well, no, but this is what I'm going to say. You're talking about, wanting to raise kids in Eretz Yisrael,
Yeah.
And, that's motivating. I can understand that. And there's definitely a part of me that feels that way. But there's another part of me that kind of rejects that because it's forget about raising my kids in Eretz Yisrael. I want to do it for myself. I want to be in Israel. Meaning to say, okay, I raised all these drushes. Do it for the kids! Do it for the kids! And there's truth to that, But I always cringe when I hear that. And again, I don't know if I'm getting pushback, but this thing, I want to raise, I also want to raise, I also, there's a thrill to it. My daughter, she speaks Hebrew. My kids speak Hebrew. It's such an amazing feeling.
You speak Hebrew?
Yeah, my kids speak Hebrew.
Okay, fine.
Right. Okay. They, on the other hand, I feel sometimes you can do something for yourself. And that doesn't make it selfish. I'm not saying throw your kids under the bus. Don't ask eights. Don't ask people. I'm not claiming that. Obviously, everyone be responsible, But at the same time, I like being because I like being here. Do you know what I'm saying? I wanted to come here because this is what my soul just felt so drawn to coming here. Do you know what I'm saying? For a whole host of reasons, but not for the kids. Yeah, that's part of it. It's part of it. It's not separate. But I wanted to come here. Do you know what I'm saying? Not because America's collapsing and I don't want my kids to learn about LGBTQ, LMNOP, But it's because I want it.
I hear what you're saying. I don't know if I'm on the same page because so much of what I've done in my life, I do it because of my kids. It may have made more sense from a financial perspective, whatever, for me to be continuing to be a rabbi and be in America. I could have done that, right? That I could. Right. Now, one thing I did say to people who would ask me is, in America, I knew what my next 50 years was going to look like, and it was beautiful. It was being Marbit's Torah. It was helping people, being with them at the time in their lives when they needed support, and I could do that in a way that would, really give. Or I could have made Aliyah, and I didn't know what my next 5 years looked like. And for me, that second option was a lot more attractive. The adventure, the exploration, the not knowing was a lot more moshech than getting a stellar and being the Rav and cycles of life and whatever. So yes, but no, because I had a career there, or at the beginning of, and here I said, this is what's best for my children. And there have been times in my life where the decision that I've done is because this is what's right for my kids. I recently moved homes to a bigger place.
Right.
Now I'm always, conscious about my money and whatever it is. And, I thought, what? I can live in this small, tiny place.
Right.
Well, when we decided to move, I realized it's not for me. It's for my kids. They need more space. Right. They just need more space. I hate to say that because I don't want to be expansive. But so there are things that I've done in my life, I've done for my kids, and meaning very fundamental things. And maybe this is okay, my therapist, my doctor. Right, yeah. Maybe I need to figure out where
a fine specimen.
Where am I? Maybe that's a question that I ask.
Well, I think that's. I want to say this. I don't want to throw you under the bus because I love you. Okay,
Matt, everything you said is really wrong.
It's wrong. No, come on. I want to say this. What I'm hearing is that we have different processes. Obviously, this is not a binary. It's not an either or. No. There's a gray area over here, right? I'm not saying there are certain things I do for my kids also, like keep kosher. I'm just joking.
And by the way,
you flipped already here.
oh my gosh,
Right.
you're really a monster.
Right, no. Point being is, like, obviously there's certain things. You're the man of the house, and you want to run a family, and you have certain responsibilities, and you accept those responsibilities. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, you know, to be able to be mashpia and influence your family and raise a healthy family. Obviously, that's the top list. Obviously, that's the purpose of it all. On the other hand, you know, like, I'm hearing that our processes are different, because my process, it's not only about the kids. Yes, the kids are part of it, but it's like the parents also need a tikkun. You know, my wife also wanted to come here. I needed a tikkun. Like, at what point are you supposed to just sacrifice yourself for your children? You know, and it's like, what, you know, like, how do you, I don't know how you, I'm not trying to, I don't want to make this into a parenting conversation, but the point is like,
but also,
like, you need, like, I need something. I need something, you know?
I hear what you're saying. I also want to say, like, look, you know, my oldest is 11, you know, so we're kind of, I feel like you're just like, you're
I'm an old geezer.
You're an old man. What can I say? I may have more gray hair, but like but I'm wondering, my kids still need so much tipul, so much care. You know,
so do mine. They always have to water the garden.
I have diapers. You know, I'm
you
still
have diapers.
I still have, you know, kids in diapers, you know? Right. So it's like, you know, okay, it's one, but like one of them, you know, like we're still not on, and another one we could talk about. All right. But I think that's a different reality, 11-year-old coming to know themselves, than when your kids are already a little bit more established. So there's a part of me that really feels like I don't have a me. And I'll tell you this is bad. Yeah, why do I stay up late at night sometimes? Because I just need my me time, you know?
Right. Well, it's not a bad thing, that's a healthy thing.
For sure. It's just when I spend my time doing that, you know, but it's almost like I right now I'm working, I get like this is my me time. This is me expressing myself, you know?
Right.
I don't know when I'm going to have that space, that time to really explore the person who I am, but I think it's about making I don't know what I'm saying.
You know what? I like what you're saying. You know, I like what you're saying. And, you know, so in today's conversation, what we've spoken about, we're doing
a wrap up.
We've spoken about the Aliyah roles are a non-parallel process. I don't know if that's what we're going to call it, you know.
Whatever it is.
You know, our different processes, our families, the switches, the evolutions, the interruptions, the finding of ourselves, what it's like being here, making inward decisions, hard transitions, you know, finding ourselves. And now what I'd like to do is maybe turn to the audience for a second. And this is a demo podcast from me and Matt.
Just trying this out. We really have no clue what we're doing.
And we'd like for you to listen to this episode and give us feedback and tell us if you'd like more. Leave a message in the comments, or you have our numbers. You can reach us and let us know what you think. We want honest feedback. If you'd like to join and listen in to our conversation.
Listening in.